Our story begins with Liam, a simple and exhausted young man who was sitting after a long day of work, drinking his refreshing beverage. Suddenly he wakes up to find himself inside the body of a 12-year-old boy, a boy who belongs to a great noble family. There he slowly begins to recognize the features of his new life. He looks into the mirror in shock when he sees his different appearance. At that very moment, his father enters and speaks to him. "My son, you are a member of this family. I want you to hold on to reason and wisdom, to act with maturity instead of standing there in astonishment." The celebration held that day was in honor of the birth of Liam's sister, yet our hero remained in deep shock, believing he was in a strange dream. When he awoke the next morning, however, he realized that everything was entirely real. The body he now inhabited was truly the body of another person, who bore the same name, Liam, the fifth son of the Count. Afterwards, he sat with his fourth brother Bruno, who began to speak about their new sister. He affirmed that when she grows older and marries into the royal family, their position will become more secure. Then he continued, saying their family was already standing on the edge of collapse, so they must do whatever it takes to preserve its safety and immense wealth. Moments later, the magic instructor entered to begin the lessons. Liam's heart filled with excitement as he heard they would be studying magic, yet his brother warned him not to raise his expectations too high, insisting that only 1 out of every 100 is born with the gift of magic. Liam was not shaken by his words. Instead, he turned toward the family library, rich with magical books, and opened the very first one to try out his first fire spell. His maid encouraged him and filled him with confidence that he could succeed, after which his father gave him permission to take whichever magical books he wished to study. From then on, he went into the forest to train and practice upon what he had read. He managed to perform the spell Fire Cutter exactly as written in the book. To himself, he said he might be able to perform it without relying on the book if he continued training. After a full month, he truly succeeded in repeating the spell once again with no book, and it was strangely easy for him. As for his brother Bruno, he was astonished that Liam had mastered it in only 1 month without using the book. He tried it himself, but failed even with the book in hand. In the end, he returned it to Liam and said, "If you can truly control magic, this will grant you a great position in the kingdom. But remember, if you ever think of becoming the head of the family, you must beware of your eldest brother, for he will never give up that place to you easily." Liam continued his path, moving on to learn ice magic after he had mastered all the basic fire spells. Then his father summoned him to witness with his own eyes the extent of his ability. He was astonished when he saw that Liam was using all the fire spells without any books, and had already mastered them all within only 1 month. The father burst out in loud laughter from pure joy and said to his servant, "Blessings have come upon our knight." Then he turned to Liam and assured him that he would never hesitate to give him any magical book he needed. At that moment, a servant entered to inform the father that a strange man had trespassed onto their land. The father prepared himself and gathered the soldiers to march toward him. Meanwhile, Liam went out to the forest, filled with happiness, for he was now certain that his father would grant him any magical book he asked for. There he caught sight of a man sitting relaxed beneath a tree. As soon as the man realized that the one standing before him was a son of the Hamilton family, he spoke with a broken voice. "I have failed, and I believe this is my fate. Do whatever you wish with me now." Liam was puzzled and asked, "Do what exactly?" The man replied, "You are right. It is only me who feels a little nervous, for you are still just a child." Then his eyes fell on the magical book in Liam's hand and he said, "The best way to learn is through regular and constant practice." At that, Liam smiled and said, "Yes, this is what I am already doing. I am heading now to training." While Liam was walking on his way, the mysterious man said to him, "If you wish to know a better and more effective method, I can tell you." Then suddenly he used 5 different kinds of magic at the same time. Liam was struck with astonishment at the sight, and asked him how he could possibly do that. At that moment, the stranger noticed in Liam the qualities of chivalry and humility that most nobles lacked, and for that reason he decided to teach him. He ordered him to draw a square and a circle at the same time, and Liam succeeded in completing it. Then the man said, "As long as you can do this, it will be easy for you to use 5 kinds together, because the process is similar." Liam then began to think about combining the spell Fire Cutter with his right hand, and the fireball with his left hand. With some focus and calmness, he was able to perform both at the same time. Afterwards came the turn of 3 spells together, so he started with them one after another, but he quickly stopped after his magical energy was exhausted. The stranger told him, "To succeed quickly, you must release the 3 spells all at once." He sat on the ground and began writing prime numbers in front of him. He explained that the whole technique depended on prime numbers. Then he revealed to him his own maximum limit in magic, saying, "I believe I can reach the 16th level with my magical ability." Afterwards, he gifted him a ring, and this ring was like a magical encyclopedia equal to 100 books. As soon as Liam wore it, more than 300 spells poured into his mind at once. He wished to try one of them, so he chose the spell Wind Shot and performed it successfully, but the man vanished suddenly. At that moment, Liam's maid came to warn him, telling him that it was not proper to remain in the forest alone because a suspicious man had slipped into the family lands. She had also brought with her a magical book from his father about the arts of summoning, and she insisted that he return to the castle as quickly as possible before she departed. As soon as she went away, the stranger appeared once more. Liam asked him, "Where were you?" He answered that he had only hidden himself by using magic. Then he asked him to open the book at the summoning spell and try to perform it while wearing the ring. Liam did exactly that, and from the spell came forth a small dragon of fire. The surprise was that the magical encyclopedia absorbed the contents of the book. He then sat down and began summoning many creatures, one after the other. Yet the stranger disappeared again, leaving behind words written upon the ground. "Continue studying magic and we shall meet again somewhere, and do not speak of me to anyone." After 1 month had passed, Liam was using his magic with ease to create precious elements such as white coal. When his brother saw him, he said in astonishment, "It seems you will not need any of us in the future, and you will be fine on your own." Then he added that he planned to marry into a slightly poorer family so that he could gain the freedom he had always dreamed of, and he advised Liam to also seek his own financial independence. Liam thanked him for the advice and went to the shop to sell what he had created. He earned a good profit, yet he began to think about a method that would be less effort and more profitable. During a short break, he sat down to eat a plate of pasta, the popular dish well known in that land. He liked it very much, so he decided to take a sample and let his servants taste it. They loved it as well, and at that moment, he thought of selling it to a restaurant. However, the owner refused because he had no permission except through Liam's eldest brother. And indeed, his older brother had already made an agreement with the man to stop him from selling, driven by envy and jealousy of his ability to learn magic and create such things. Liam walked away disappointed, yet he quickly remembered that despair would be of no use. He chose to work in silence, so he used the spell Goods Box, which allowed him to store all his products no matter the size within a small space. Then he invented another brilliant solution when he summoned a magical copy of himself and sent it to distant lands to sell the products there. By doing this, he was earning profits outside the reach of his family while remaining among them at the same time. Thanks to this clever trick, he truly began to place his foot on the path toward financial independence. Later we see Liam training with his magical copy and gaining full control over it. Suddenly his eldest brother entered, so he hid the copy quickly. The brother said to him, "I have heard that recently you are astonishing everyone with what you do, and all the people are talking about you." Liam replied that he only wished to become financially independent and live his life in freedom. His brother answered that he would introduce him to the Hunters Guild to help him in that matter. Afterwards, Liam arrived at the guild headquarters, and as soon as he entered, the people began mocking him for his young age. Then the guild master stood before him and said, "We will begin by testing you first, for we cannot send you to a place beyond your abilities, lest you face danger." Then he stood in front of him and told him that he must begin with a magical attack spell in order to test his strength. And indeed, Liam began his attack. Everyone sitting there was greatly astonished because he used high-level magic. At that moment, the guild master said to him, "With this level of power, I shall grant you a B-rank license." Liam then went on his way, wondering about the value of such a license. A girl who had been among the audience caught up with him. Her name was Asuna. She offered to go hunting together and kept begging him insistently until he quickly agreed, for she was of the type he preferred. While they were walking in the forest, a pack of wolves surrounded them. Liam used his magic to seal their mouths. Asuna rushed forward and ended the fight with her swords. After they gathered the spoils, they returned to the guild. The guild master was astonished at the great number they brought back, so he employed them immediately for another mission since they possessed such strength. They continued their journey together into the forest. Asuna was extremely happy because she had now gained work. Their new mission was to eliminate a giant larva. After long hours, the signs of fatigue appeared upon them, for magic had no effect on it. Asuna said, "We cannot get rid of it unless a meteor falls from the sky." At that moment, a bold idea came to Liam's mind. He lured the larva toward a certain spot, then used his goods box to throw upon it a massive rock that killed it. They did not stop there, for they managed to slay 2 more giant larvae. When they returned to the guild master, he was amazed beyond measure and said, "You did not take long and you came back with 2. How wonderful this is." In that instant, Asuna seized the chance and said, "Important people stand before you. You must treat us well or you will regret it." The guild master multiplied their reward 5 times. A few days later, the Hamilton family was waiting for an important man. His name was James Stanley. He sat with Liam and asked him about Raymond's ring he was wearing. He asked whether he had killed its owner and taken it from him. Liam answered that his teacher had given him the ring. James laughed loudly and said, "Has he taken another disciple for himself? This is wonderful." Then he ordered his servant to step back and commanded Liam to launch a magic attack against him. The man was using a magical protective shield. Liam called in his heart the names of those he loved to increase his magical power, and with his strike he succeeded in breaking the shield. At that moment, James decided to grant him the title of knight. In this way, our hero finally achieved his independence. James then said, "Now you must do nothing more important than avoiding the hostility of your eldest brother. Perhaps your father is also displeased, for he wished to exploit your power for the family's sake, yet you can still offer help in other ways. After that, he asked Liam if he had ever been tricked by Raymond. Liam replied, yes. When I was training on the goods box spell, my teacher wrote me a message saying he had left gold for me in the lake, but the box does not take gold bars, so he scattered gold dust equal to 100 kilograms. He told me, if you feel despair because you cannot gather it, think why I chose the number 100 in particular, and consider it your graduation test. James said this gold was only a small step towards something greater in his mind, and that the true graduation gift was near and hidden. Liam went to the lake and absorbed all its water, yet found nothing. Then he remembered that the dust had mixed with the water. He ordered the box to extract all the gold within it, and it indeed brought forth 100 kilograms before him. Suddenly the ground opened and he fell below, where he discovered a magical book his teacher had left for him. Written upon it were the words, "This book is of the highest level. I was not able to use it, but I hope you will succeed." Liam opened the book at the spell Other World. He failed again and again, but after several attempts, he finally succeeded. A gate opened, leading him into a space from another world whose size matched his magical power. In this way, he gained a secret place where he could hide anything, even human beings. After a month had passed, Liam and Asuna were in fierce battle with a giant frog. None of their attacks had any effect on it. The frog was about to strike them, yet Liam opened the gate of the other world. The frog could not enter it, so Liam focused his attack upon it, and with a single strike he killed it. When they delivered the monster's magic stone, the guildmaster was greatly astonished because it was meant for the A rank. After that, Asuna felt fear that Liam might leave her one day. She made a contract with him that bound her to him and prevented her from ever disobeying his orders, with the guildmaster as witness. Once the contract was completed, Asuna's power revealed itself, a skill she had gained from Liam. Her skill was acceleration. They then went to visit Asuna's friend, whose name was Jody, a seasoned hunter with vast experience. Asuna advised her friend to become Liam's follower, saying he would benefit from her greatly. After Jody contracted with Liam, she returned to being a young girl once more. The skill she gained was the ability to heal wounds through the food she cooked. They discovered this when Jody gave a sandwich to a man with a broken hand. As soon as he took the first bite, his hand healed immediately. Days passed, and the name of Liam and his followers spread throughout the kingdom. At that time, James told him that Princess Scarlet was interested in him and his followers, and that he must explain everything to her. Liam replied that he must find a way to refuse, for his followers were not tools for display, but his friends, and he did not want to wound their feelings. At that moment, James ordered Liam to leave. Then the truth appeared, for the princess herself had been the maid who served them drinks. She said to James, "He is interesting, but will he dare to say such words before me?" Later, Liam went to the palace of Princess Scarlet. She entered directly into the matter and asked him how he had defeated the larva and the giant frog. When he explained, she looked astonished, for those monsters were usually slain only with high-level magic. Then she asked about his followers. He apologized, saying he could not reveal them out of respect. She asked, "Do you wish to refuse my request?" He answered, "Yes, because my friends are not things to be displayed before anyone." She laughed and said to him, "You are exactly yourself. No one has ever dared to refuse me twice before, but you have done it. That makes you worthy of a reward." She granted him the title of Baron. Liam was shocked, for he had done nothing to deserve such a title. She replied that making her laugh twice was enough. Then she gave him a book called Familiar, a magical book about contracting followers. Liam was more excited about the book than the title. The princess laughed when she saw that his joy for the book exceeded his joy for the position. Liam took the book and went to the forest to read it. Suddenly his brother Bruno appeared, congratulating him on his new title, and said, "It seems our eldest brother will be very upset, for with this title you have risen even above our father." Liam returned home after nightfall. He met his eldest brother, who ignored him, yet hatred filled his heart because Liam, the fifth son, had surpassed his father with his title. He also noticed that the servants in the castle were all speaking of Liam. He left, telling himself that he must accomplish something great so that he too would be the subject of everyone's talk. On the next day, Liam, Jody, and Asuna were sitting in a cafe. Afterwards, they went together to hunt wolves. During the battle, each of them noticed that her skills had improved, especially Jody, whose eyes had become clearer. This was very important to her, for she was used to the bow and arrows. When Liam heard this, he used his magic to enhance her sight further, so she could see much farther with sharp clarity, and she was overjoyed. Asuna then asked him to do the same for her. He advised her not to, explaining that if her attack power grew stronger, her body might grow weary, but he agreed to enhance her vision. Jody was thrilled, for she managed to strike a very distant target with a single shot. Afterwards they went to the Hunters Guild to sell the monsters they had hunted. Yet they found the atmosphere heavy with tension, and the cause was Liam's elder brother. At that moment Liam ran to the forest, where he found many soldiers lying on the ground, his brother among them. While he was speaking to him, the guildmaster appeared and struck him, then said to Liam, "There is an evil dragon that your great-grandfather sealed long ago. Now it has been released. We can seal it again, and we have gathered all the people needed for this. But the problem is that the young dragons are blocking us. They are the cause of this disaster, which means that the evil dragon itself is far stronger. This dragon will regain its power within a week, and we want to seal it before it recovers its full strength." Suddenly the young dragons appeared. Asuna rushed to attack them, but they answered with fire. Liam unleashed 7 fiery magical strikes, yet they blocked them with their flames. At that moment despair fell upon everyone, for the power of the dragons was overwhelming, and they thought it impossible to defeat them. At that time, an idea came to Liam. He made his followers escape while he began using the spell of the other world. The gate opened before him. The young dragons entered it. Then he closed the gate and placed it inside the goods box. In this way, he was able to defeat the dragons. Afterwards, the mages appeared, all standing around the great dragon as they tried to seal it once again so that it would not regain its power. The scene then returned to Jody and Asuna, who asked Liam about the spell by which he had imprisoned the dragons. They were afraid the dragons might come back, so he answered them that the dragons had disappeared because he had not yet mastered the spell. Suddenly, Liam heard a voice calling him. It was the voice of the dragon itself. It said, "I am not evil as you believe, but I do not care for human standards. You are a small human, yet you carry a great soul. Who are you?" He answered, "I am only an ordinary human," but the dragon saw that his soul and body were not the same. Liam thought to himself, "Does the dragon know that I am a grown man inside this body?" The dragon read his thoughts and said, "I understand, though I do not know why it happened. Still, your life is fascinating, and I hope you allow me to stay with you. I will not harm you, I will help you." At that moment, our hero asked him to give him his power, for he felt no hostility toward him. The dragon embodied itself inside his body, and Liam became able to feel a mighty force flowing through his whole being. He tested his strength by releasing 11 spells without any chance. Then, by using the names that enhanced his power, he managed to unleash 17 attacks with perfect control. Those around him were even affected by the energy of his magic, until the dragon advised him to draw the power inward. Afterwards, the guildmaster came and thanked him for removing the danger. Liam apologized to them because of the mana that had flowed from his body. Then he was given 10 kilograms of gold as a reward, yet he asked for it to be distributed to the wounded, giving priority to those who needed long periods of recovery. In the evening, he sat with his father, who thanked him for what he had done. Meanwhile, his eldest brother remained in his room, drowning in anger and hatred, because Liam had been the one to defeat the dragon. In the end, Liam decided not to enter upon him. After some time, Liam began to learn new spells. He summoned a low-level dragon and succeeded with ease. Suddenly, Princess Scarlet appeared behind him, astonished that he was using holy magic. She told him she would reward him by granting the 3rd-class Medal of Hardship, then asked how he had defeated the dragon. When he answered, displeasure showed on her face. She told him it was better to keep the matter hidden and never speak of it. On the next day, she sent him 3,000 gold coins. Liam understood that this prize was only meant to keep him silent. Later, he sat in the palace with James, who asked him if he had truly learned holy magic. The princess had bound him to silence, so he could not reply. Yet James pressed him until he finally admitted that he had learned some holy spells. James then began to tell him the story of the 3 dragons and how one of them was defeated through holy magic. Afterwards, a human joined and used that magic to found the state in which they now lived. He warned that the dragon joining Liam might cause 2 problems. The first was that the Hamilton family could be dissolved, since their only achievement had been sealing the evil dragon. Now that the dragon was with Liam, their credit would be erased. The other problem was that the dragon might harbor anger and seek revenge against the kingdom. But Liam replied that the dragon had told him it did not care for human standards. Perhaps after a year humans would give it another title. He had noticed it was not angry, but only interested in him. When he returned home, he found upon his table a huge number of marriage proposals from daughters of wealthy families. Bruno came in and told him that a girl from the family he had married into had asked to add her name to the list as well, urging him to marry her. Liam was astonished at the great popularity he had gained after the incident of the dragon. Afterwards, he took his followers to the forest and led them into his other world. There he had built a house, and this time it did not vanish because he had mastered the spell. He showed them the rooms. Jody asked about the light in this world, and whether it would be difficult to sleep. Liam summoned a low-level spirit of darkness, and the place sank into complete shadow. He then summoned Salamander and ordered him to light the fireplace. Jody asked if the spirit could reduce the darkness to a normal level. He explained it was difficult because the spirit was low level. Asuna said that if spirits could evolve as they did, the matter would be different. An idea came to Liam. He used contract magic to evolve the spirit of darkness. It lowered the the darkness to a normal level and even gained the ability to speak. It thanked him for raising its level, then told him that the ring he wore was an ancient storage device and that he could easily store within it the summoning spell of a mid-level spirit. Liam tested the idea and it worked. He evolved Salamander as well and stored him with his brother. In the same way he used Familiar to evolve the spirits of water, earth, wind, light, and ice, then stored them in his magical encyclopedia as summoning spells. On the following day, he went into the forest at the request of Radon the dragon. When he arrived, Raiden asked him to summon his son. As soon as Liam did, the sun showed him a sight that made him see the forest with new eyes. The fairies appeared. At first they withdrew from him because he was human, but they returned when they saw the young dragon with him. Liam told them that Radon had asked him to protect them, for humans used their wings in magic, which could lead to their extinction. That was why he wanted to help them. He then began using his magic to evolve the fairies and make them his followers. The dragon told him that he must give them names. He evolved the first fairy and named her Raina, and she transformed into an elf. He was surprised, but the dragon explained that naming them during the casting increased their power and raised their level. The rest of the fairies asked him to name them and contract with them. He did so and turned them all into elves. They thanked him warmly. Raina said, "What can we do for you?" He replied, "You can build a village and live in it, and you will be its leader." After that, Liam felt magical energy coming from the depths of the forest. He advanced until he reached a tree and saw a glowing fruit. He asked Raina about it. She said that the fairies gathered remnants of magical power from the air and stored them in one place. Radon invited him to try it. When he ate it, his magical power increased and he was able to unleash 19 spells, more than ever before. On the next day, Liam went to check on his followers. He found that they had failed to build any houses. Suddenly a group of bandits appeared and seized one of the followers. She cried out for Liam. He rushed quickly, launched fiery strikes at the attacker, and killed him. The rest of the thieves decided to charge at him. Liam used reincarnation magic, released his magical missiles upon them, and ended all their lives. When he felt that the place was dangerous for his followers, he opened the gate of the other world, brought them inside, then transferred them to his own private domain. He said to them, "Here no bandits will attack you, for this is my place." They were amazed that he had brought them all with a single spell and asked him to be their king. He replied, "I do not like that title, but I can be your leader." And he then began to think of a land suitable for living. He practiced the holy magic taught to him by Radon until he succeeded. Afterwards, he gathered his followers and transported them to the chosen place using a high-level transfer spell. There he used another spell that broke the old seal. Radon asked him if he wanted to use the land as a country. Liam answered, "You may do whatever you wish." When they arrived, the followers asked for water. He summoned the water spirit, evolved it, and ordered it to find a source. A spring burst forth from beneath the ground. All that remained was the work of building to complete the village. Liam noticed that the transfer spell grew stronger each time he used it. He kept practicing, relying on crystals to restore his magical energy until he mastered it fully. He then left the young dragons with his followers to protect them and returned to the palace. There he sat with the princess, who asked him whether the dragon had spoken to him about the promised land. He answered, "No, but he mentioned the sealed land and asked me to care for some of the elves." She then requested that he take her with him. He agreed, on the condition that the palace architect would be summoned. He created a copy of himself, then went with the princess to the sealed village. She asked the dragon whether that was the promised land. She brought forth the Ring of Fate, the inheritance of the royal family. When Liam touched it, the ground split open. The entire land rose high, then settled back again. The princess understood that this was the promised land. She bowed before him and said, "My lord, establish a new nation here, and I pledge my loyalty to you." After that, Liam helped the elf architect in building their village, while he used his holy spells to defeat the monsters that stood in their way. The princess watched him in astonishment at his strength. Then she offered to become his servant. Liam was surprised to hear such words from her, yet she explained that the blood of dragons flowed in her family's veins. For this reason, they married into the royal house, and it was for this very reason she wished to be his follower. At that moment, Liam heard the voice of Radon in his head, commanding him to walk 1 kilometer to the north. There they found an underground trench containing the statue of the great dragon. Radon said, "This guardian was built in my likeness. Your task is to defeat it. The method is to erase a single letter of my name, written in old script, upon its head. The result will be the word cut." The princess said, "The second letter is the solution." Liam released a holy arrow and erased the letter, and his plan succeeded. The dragon responded to the princess's royal blood and remained with her until its wound was healed. Liam quickly returned to the village, only to find it had been attacked by werewolves. Their leader was furious, declaring that they were intruders upon the sacred land land, and he threatened to tear them to pieces if they did not leave. The wolf charged at Liam, but he vanished suddenly and appeared behind him using the lightning spell. He followed with the healing spell, trying to reason with him, then summoned the young Radon to explain that the werewolves had long lived here and had driven out intruders, just as Liam himself had done with his followers. The leader understood the situation and realized Liam had no intent to harm them. At that point, Reina suggested that they make a contract with him as well. Liam agreed and used the familiar spell to contract with their leader, but he was astonished when the leader transformed into a female werewolf. He said jokingly, "I thought you were a man." On the next day, Liam noticed that the pace of construction had greatly increased after the werewolves had joined. He thought to himself whether he could rebuild with his magic what the wolves had once destroyed. Radon said to him, "If you have no ready spell, the matter is not difficult. Imagine the process in your mind from beginning to end." Liam imagined the details of the construction and succeeded in restoring what had collapsed. Then, one of the elves came to him seeking help, for some humans had tried to kidnap the fairies. He intervened immediately and began his attack on those humans to defend his nation. When they refused to retreat, he used vanish and appear magic, striking each rider upon his back, then vanishing again, until he defeated them all. Afterwards, he reassured Reina that the matter was settled. She then introduced him to the fairies, who also wished to contract with him. They lined up before him, and he made contracts with them one after the other. Later, he held a meeting with Princess Scarlet, Asuna, and Jody, asking them about the helmet worn by the knight he had defeated. The princess answered that those men belonged to a state on the border of the Promised Land, and that what had happened was only a group of scouts. They would not remain silent afterward. Liam thought that many nations would try to reach this land and covet the new state, but the princess affirmed her opinion that he must build the nation. A state requires 3 pillars: land, which he had gained, people, who were increasing with the spread of rumors about him, and authority, which was a military force to protect the nation, with the werewolves as its foundation. On the following day, a messenger arrived from the state of Gemel. He said to Liam that their country did not wish for war, but sought alliance, and that they were ready to propose marriage with the first Princess Scarlet. The amusing part was that the envoy did not know the princess herself was standing before him. Liam used telepathy to ask her whether he should accept or refuse. She agreed, saying, "This will give us time, whatever their intentions may be." Liam told the envoy, "I accept, but I need 1 year. You see the conditions here. Within this year I will make the land a place worthy of Her Highness the Princess." The envoy replied that he would inform the king, then he asked leave and departed. Afterward, Liam used his second copy to travel to Scarlet's palace. There, she showed him the statue of Raiden, in which he sensed the power of the dragon. A spell was upon it, and the statue turned into armor that the princess wore. Yet after casting only one spell, she collapsed to the ground, her energy drained, for the armor was high level. Liam then crafted armor of lower level for her. When she wore it, she could cast a holy spell with ease, and she felt great joy with the new armor. Liam then performed the familiar contract spell with Princess Scarlet, naming her Ars, Strife of Battle. Her ability improved, her strength increased, and she was able to unleash another spell that cut down all the trees before her without effort. A new idea came to Liam. He returned to Radon's statue and sprinkled some of his own blood upon it. The statue transformed into armor that Liam himself wore. With it, he unleashed 37 magical spells, but he consumed all his energy, so the statue returned to its former state. Radon said to him, "You are the third to survive after wearing this armor. I promise you that if one day you master this spell, you will be able to rule the world." Liam then restored his strength using crystals, returned the statue into the goods box, and used instant transfer magic to return the princess to the kingdom. Then he himself went back to the village. There Reina told him that the troll creatures lived nearby. They were huge beings, their height between 2 and 3 meters, with bulging muscles, their personalities either violent or kind, and they were a potential danger. Liam thought of how he could convince them to join him, then decided to visit their village. While he was walking in the valley, they came out behind him. He introduced himself and explained that he had come to recruit them, telling them that the fairies and the werewolves had already joined. They did not believe him, for they had no trust in humans. Their chief began to attack him with a giant hammer. Liam dodged the strikes until his foot slipped into a hole. The chief decided to give him the final blow, but at the right moment Liam used the magical battle armor of the Guardian, and it protected him completely. The chief submitted to him, for even under attack, Liam had not returned aggression. Our hero explained that he wanted them to join his new nation, contracting with them especially because humans might come soon to hunt them. Yet the chief demanded to see the village first before giving his answer. Liam transferred them with the teleportation spell. There they were met by Chris the werewolf, who, as soon as she saw the chief, attacked him, for their history was filled with battles. She defeated him quickly with her growing power, then advised him to contract with Liam. He agreed, and our hero contracted with him, naming him Guy. He transformed into a muscular fighter and began began to speak with greater clarity. He then returned to battle Chris once again, but this time their fight was at a high level and no longer mere play. After that, Liam used the contract magic to make them all his followers. He began employing them in gathering stones to extract iron, copper, silver, and gold. He also discovered a rare metal called messer, used in the craft of magic. After that, Liam decided to craft a magical armor from iron. He knew that if he gave it a name, it would become stronger, just as had happened with Scarlet's armor. He chose for it the name Polo, meaning the sun. When he broke the mold in which he had shaped it, the armor appeared with the form of a sun, for from the beginning he had imagined its shape to suit its name and increase its power. While his followers were training, everyone was surprised by the arrival of a group of humans greedy for the land filled with treasures and riches. They threatened, saying, "We will not harm you as long as you remain quiet with us." Before Liam could act, one of the elves stepped forward to their leader. He said to her, "Well, my girl, it is good that you are so polite." But before he could finish his words, she struck him with a powerful blow that sent him flying. The humans tried to attack her, yet in a swift moment she slew them all. Liam felt joy and pride, for the fairies who had once been weak were now elves strong enough to defend themselves. At that moment, a man placed a knife at Liam's neck, threatening, "If anyone moves, I will kill him." The surprise was that his followers did not fear the threat. Liam ended it with a single fiery missile strike that killed the man. The rest of the humans fled when they saw what had happened. Afterward, Liam returned to the other world and summoned the water spirit, asking it to separate the fresh water from the salt so that the people of the village could benefit. There, the first spirit he had once evolved appeared before him and told him that when spirits reach the mid-level, they are able to possess bodies. He evolved its level further and granted it one of the armors he had crafted. He also gave armor to Reina, Chris the werewolf, and Guy, and the strength of all of them increased. Liam saw with his own eyes the astonishing results. Reina drew forth a waterfall from the ground. Chris created a huge explosion with ease. Guy split the earth with his hands. He stood amazed, thinking that this was only the beginning. And he said to himself, "If I continue to craft battle armors and grant them to the mid-level spirits, I will then have a power not only to protect my nation, but also to stand against another state." After that, Jody and Asuna came to ask where he had been hiding and what he had done with the money he had taken with them. Liam showed them the gold Princess Scarlet had given him so that he would remain silent about Ramadan. He gave them their share, but they preferred to leave it with him, saying it would be safer in his hands. Then they brought out for him a rare magical book possessed by no one else in the kingdom. He rejoiced greatly, for it contained spells he had never read before, and he thanked them for this gift. The three then sat in a restaurant speaking together. Liam told them about the nation he was building and asked whether they wished to join him or remain in their village practicing hunting. They both agreed without hesitation. Asuna was very excited about the idea, yet she wished to go immediately. Liam advised her to wait until he mastered the spell in the new book. Indeed, he used the dust box spell and quickly succeeded in activating it. It resembled the goods box, but with a greater feature, it could store an unlimited quantity. He tried placing food inside, but after 1 minute, it spoiled upon being taken out. Then an idea came to him. He placed a bottle of fresh grape juice with a little yeast in the box for 1 hour. It turned into delicious wine. When he repeated the experiment with 10 bottles, making each remain 1 hour longer than the one before it, every bottle emerged with a different flavor of aging, as if each hour inside the box equaled a full year. And he then took them to his village, where everyone welcomed the new guests. Each group presented its own meal. Asuna could not control herself and began devouring the food eagerly. Everyone joined at the table in an atmosphere of joy. Afterwards, they went to the forest, which was full of fruits for making different drinks. Suddenly, they heard the scream of a troll who had been attacked by a vampire. Liam intervened, launching fiery missiles at the attacker, and the vampire fled. The troll chief approached to check on his friend and found him injured. He attacked in turn, but Liam used the dispel spell, and the troll returned to normal. Jody then explained that vampires turned others into slaves like themselves by biting them, and that usually there was no cure for it. Yet Liam had managed to heal him. The chief said, then he was not a vampire, for they turned to dust under the light of the sun. Jody wondered if Dracula truly existed. She said, this is a being born every few centuries. Under his command, the other vampires become far stronger, and their weakness against the sun disappears. At that moment, one of the werewolves came running, shouting, I have spotted a horde of vampires approaching us 10 kilometers to the north. Their number is 100,000. Fear spread among everyone, for the enemy outnumbered them 100 to 1. Worse still, they saw ghouls and demons among their ranks. Jody said, since they have gathered these different races, it means Dracula truly exists. Liam answered, "We shall do everything we can." He then ordered them to warn the neighboring villages of the need to evacuate before the battle began. As time passed, one of the werewolves returned to Liam and told him that he had carried the news of the vampires to the nearby villages, yet the inhabitants refused to flee. They said, "It is not more than a few vampires, they will never defeat us." They went to war, but the battle ended with all of them transformed into vampires. They became victims of their pride. The werewolf explained that he had seen among them a different vampire, one to whom all bowed. With a single gesture he revived every vampire who had fallen in battle. At that moment, Liam was certain that Dracula truly existed. He told them that he now understood the style of vampire combat, and the time had come to face them. They all stood in the battlefield, each one using their magical armor. Reina drew a waterfall from the earth that drowned the enemies. Chris unleashed a massive explosion. Guy shook the ground with his strength. Asuna charged, cutting with her swords. Jody fired her deadly arrows. They managed to destroy the first wave of enemies. Then Guy shouted, commanding them to retreat. At that moment, Dracula appeared before them. Liam used instant transfer magic to move him away from his followers, and the two appeared in a place 100 meters distant from the field. Liam said, "Now the problem will end when I defeat you." Dracula laughed in mockery. "Defeat me? No one has ever been able to stop me." No matter his strength, Liam unleashed fiery missiles, yet they had no effect. Dracula vanished, reappeared behind him, and tried to strike. Liam vanished as well and dodged the attack, then summoned 9 holy spears that pierced his enemy's body, yet left no trace. Dracula seized him, trying to drain his blood, but Liam released the dispel spell and escaped. He thought to himself, "My trump card is still with me. Radon's guardian armor will double my firepower, but its price will be the exhaustion of all my energy." He tried fireballs and ice spheres, but they too had no effect. Dracula laughed. "Your efforts are useless. I am beyond the laws of your world. I am not alive that you may kill me. This body is only a vessel that consumes the floating life force in the air. Strike me as you wish. You will never harm me. Believe me, you will survive only if you become my follower." He attacked again. At that moment, an idea came to Liam. He trapped him inside the dust box. Dracula struggled to escape but failed. Liam remembered that the box, like the goods box, did not accept living beings. Yet this time was different, for his enemy himself had confessed he was not alive. 10 hours passed within the box, equal to 10 years for Dracula, and he entered a state of suspended animation. In this way, Liam achieved victory. He returned then to the battlefield and found all the vampires sitting in silence after the fall of their leader. Dracula's power began to fade from them. Liam used the dispel spell to heal them, but their numbers were too great. An idea came to him, to use Radon's dragon armor. With a wide-range spell, he managed to heal them all, but he collapsed unconscious after all his energy had been drained. When he awoke after 1 hour, he found everyone safe. Jody said to him, "A great light shone from you. It healed everyone, even those who had vanished and then returned." After that, Liam ordered the gathering of those who had once been transformed. They thought he would punish them. Their leader stepped forward and said, "Kill me alone and spare the rest." But Liam replied, "I will not punish any of you. Instead, I want you to join us. In your present state, you cannot appear in the daylight, for you lost Dracula's power. If you contract with me, your ability to walk under the sun will return. All I ask are 2 things, that you obey my commands and that you do not cause strife." They rejoiced at his words and all agreed. The leader was the first to contract with him. Liam named him Alucardo, and in that very moment his strength increased and the sun's effect vanished from him. After 100 hours had passed, a notice came from the dust box that Dracula had completely disappeared. Yet in a faraway place there were those watching Liam through a magical orb, planning to seize the promised land. One of the commanders ordered his follower to increase the surveillance of our hero, to gather more information in preparation for the future. Meanwhile, the village gradually turned into a city as the population grew. Reina supervised the construction. Guy and his men were responsible for protection. Chris and the werewolves took care of hunting and securing food. Then Guy came to Liam and told him that merchants from Cuesta wished to meet the king. Liam was astonished. "The king? Since when have I become a king?" But Guy shouted before everyone, "I believe Liam is the king of this land. Does anyone object?" None objected. Instead, they all supported him. At that moment, Radon, the golden dragon, appeared and declared in a mighty voice that Liam was the king of the new nation. Cheers rose from every place, confirming that Liam had become the lord of the kingdom. Afterwards, Liam went to Princess Scarlet to ask if she had discovered anything. She told him that after her investigation she had found no results, for the king and the ministers were hiding the matter, but she was certain that within the promised land lay a mysterious secret that made the kingdom unwilling to give it up. When he offered that she return with him, she refused, saying she would remain to continue her search. Liam then returned and asked Radon if he was hiding something from him. Radon answered jokingly, "It seems you have discovered me." He led him to the place of the dragon statue and told him to fill the place with his magical energy. A hidden area beneath the ground was revealed, filled with ancient and forbidden spells, what was called the Dragon's Lair. Liam almost leapt with joy when he heard the words, ancient spells. Raiden said, "This is only the beginning. As your strength increases, the seals will break one after another. You are the first human in centuries to shatter this seal." Liam tested one of the spells but failed. Raiden explained that activating the ancient magic required a spell that summoned spheres, and all of them had to be destroyed at the same time. An idea came to Liam. He summoned his second copy. He cast the spell while the copy destroyed the spheres with fire, and the plan succeeded. Afterwards, he went out to continue training. He summoned the goods box and dropped a huge boulder upon his copy. The copy used the spell Absolute Power Shield and crushed the boulder. This shield could block a single attack of any type, but it could not block a second strike if it came in the same moment. At that time, Liam had summoned several copies of himself. He began throwing many boulders at the second copy, while another copy used 2 spells in succession. The Absolute Power Shield gradually evolved until it became able to block more than one attack at once. Liam thought deeply. When he crafted one shield, it could block only a single strike, so he needed to create barriers at a speed equal to his enemy's attacks at the very least, especially since the battlefield could rain upon him with hundreds of arrows in a single instant. He decided to spend all his effort in developing this spell. He sat imagining it again and again. Each time he failed in an image, he corrected it in the next attempt, until at last he perfected the spell completely. Raiden praised him for his great effort, and Liam continued training on it throughout the whole day. In the other world, Liam was practicing how to sense any trace of magic. The spirit of darkness said to him, "I understand what you are trying to do. Surely you wish to use your physical and magical barriers in the right way." She asked him, "Why do you not use them all the time?" He answered, "It is not impossible, but I am searching for a method that is more efficient and consumes less magical energy." The spirit replied, "That is possible if you can evaluate your enemy's strike instantly at the moment it falls." After that, Liam went to Guy, who told him that some humans had arrived claiming to be envoys from the Principality of Balta, and they wished to meet the king. Then a man appeared named X-Blast, who was the leader of the mission. He said to Liam, "The king asks you to marry Lady Flora, but first tell me, are you truly bound to Princess Scarlet?" Liam answered that he still had 1 year before him. X smiled and said, "Excellent. Our king will not make you wait a moment." Princess Flora descended. She was stunning in beauty and dazzling in charm. Liam was overcome with nervousness and invited them first to enter the city. Suddenly he sensed a deadly danger approaching. He quickly used his magical armor and saved all those present, but the princess fainted. Raiden then said to him, "That was an explosive suicide beast, created by humans. Had your reaction been a little slower, that girl would now be nothing but bones." After a few moments, Liam realized that the one behind this disaster was none other than X, the very man who had spoken with him earlier, for he had vanished completely. Liam ordered Guy to protect Flora and guard the area, while he himself went to bring Princess Scarlet to the scene. When Scarlet saw the girl, she said she had never heard her name before. Liam told her what X had said about the Principality's marriage proposal to Lady Flora. Scarlet answered, "This X is the right hand of the Principality, and he also takes part in concealment operations." Liam told her the details of the suicidal beast that had exploded. She replied, "They arranged all of this only to seize the nation." She then went to examine the princess and said, "She is a secret child, not officially acknowledged by the High Duke." After a short while, the girl awoke. When everyone told her what had happened, she was seized by fear and appeared terrified because of the curse placed upon her when they had sent her. She said to Liam, "You must stay away from me so that I do not harm you." But Liam held her hand calmly, released the dispel spell, and the curse vanished completely. She looked at him with gratitude and said, "Thank you." After that, Liam offered Flora to remain in his nation so that he could protect her from any harm. Princess Scarlet looked at him with sharp eyes and said, "People have begun to look down on you, and I mean the 3 neighboring states. Therefore you must show them your strength." He asked her, "How should I show my strength? Should I fight someone perhaps?" She answered, "There is only one way. Create a currency for our nation, a coin with details so precise that it cannot be imitated, and make it finer than the currency of Gemel. In this way we prove our strength." Liam liked the idea. He began crafting silver coins with fine details that amazed Scarlet. Then she told him he must also make copper coins, but if they were made from copper alone, their value would be less than their cost of production. Therefore, he had to mix them with another cheap metal. Immediately, Liam produced copper coins with such precision that Scarlet was astonished. Jody and Asuna took the coins to exchange them. The money changer was amazed at their quality and said, if all coins were made with such details, their value would be 3 times that of Gemel's coins. Afterwards, Bruno came to visit his brother. He asked him to allow his family to practice trade in his nation, promising that they would follow the laws and pay the taxes. Liam said, "Calm down, my brother, and start from the beginning." Bruno explained that the land was surrounded by states like Gamel, Costaro, and Balta, and that prosperity was expected under Liam's rule. The land might become a link between trade routes. For that reason, he had come personally to ask permission, recognizing Liam as the head of the family now. Liam agreed, for Bruno had always been his ally. After that, Liam spoke with Scarlet through mental telepathy and asked for her opinion. She said, "It is better to grant his request and treat your brother kindly in matters of taxes and such. But at the same time be strict with your elder brother, and with all those who once belittled you, for this is what a true king does." When Bruno left, Radon praised Liam for consulting his followers in his decisions, saying that this was the act of true kings. He also praised Scarlet for her wisdom and sound judgment. Then Radon began to speak to him about the flaws of magic. She said, "You must always strengthen yourself by using your magical energy as a source of power, rather than shaping it into spells." Afterwards, Radon took the form of a girl. Liam was surprised by this appearance and discovered that Radon was female, but she said, "Leave this aside. I will now show you how to use your magical energy as direct power instead of relying only on spells." Radon released her energy, leapt into the air to the right and left, above and below, then returned to the same place. Liam imitated her and truly succeeded in flying, but he quickly fell to the ground. Radon then formed 5 spheres within his body and said, "You must fill these 5 points with magical energy and direct 20% of your strength into each place for 10 seconds. Liam succeeded in the test, and his level rose from 100 to 110%. She then formed 5 more spheres and said, "Now try placing 25% in your left hand and right leg and 15% in your right hand and left leg." Liam grew excited and said, "If I master this, I will be able to cast from 19 up to 101 spells while adjusting my strength." She answered, "Excellent, that is wonderful." Afterwards, Raiden gave him further instructions to distribute his energy into his limbs in different ways. When he succeeded in the first stage, they moved to the second stage, which was the rope pull. The rope was made of light, and Liam had to pull it using his magical energy. Raiden said to him, "Your magical power must be equal to your opponent's, for when the 2 powers differ, you will fall to the ground." Indeed, Liam fell at first, but he understood that the training was meant to teach him how to recognize the enemy's power directly. He then focused all his energy. Raiden increased and decreased her power, and Liam succeeded in balancing it until he passed the test. After Liam succeeded in the last test, the final challenge was to release the greatest number of projectiles at one time. While before he had not surpassed 10 projectiles, this time he managed to unleash 27 at once, thanks to the increase of strength in his limbs, which improved the efficiency of his use of magical energy. After that, the friends gathered together to discuss the affairs of the state. Reina reported that everything was under control, but they lacked water and salt, and that they depended on Liam for these matters. Scarlet then asked the dragon Radon whether there were places in the Promised Land where rock salt could be found. He answered that there was a possibility in the southwest of the city, but she asked him to determine the site precisely. He replied that he would inform Liam at another time. Later, Liam met with Radon in her form as a girl. He told her that Asuna had said to him, "If we had an ocean, it would be very useful." At that point, he revealed that he had invented a spell to bring a source from the ocean into their land, but its execution was difficult because it required changing the terrain, and his current strength was not enough. Radon laughed and said to him, "Will you create an ocean? Focus only on the range you can control now." Indeed, Liam succeeded in bringing a link of the ocean into the Promised Land using the Earth Spirit, and he used the goods box to ensure the water would flow continuously. This filled Asuna and Scarlet with astonishment and joy, and they took a day of rest. On the next day, Liam used the gate of the other world to go to Scarlet. She told him that a messenger had brought news that the region of Iji was suffering from severe drought, which was her mother's homeland, specifically in the kingdom of Gemel. Liam answered, "No problem, we can transfer water there easily, using the element box and teleportation." He then asked her to be his envoy to that kingdom, and informed the king that they would provide water without payment, for it was a natural disaster. But Radon warned him, saying, "What you did was right, but the pride of some rulers may turn the matter into a disaster." Indeed, her words came true, for Scarlet returned to tell him that the king of Gemel had rejected the offer of aid, claiming that his kingdom could face the calamity alone. At that moment, Radon suggested the idea of the rain spell, which was holy magic, and required a high level. Liam was amazed by the idea, but he postponed it because he wanted to test another solution. After that, Liam met with his brother Bruno, who was counted among the nobles of Gamel, and asked him if he could present something in response to natural disasters. Bruno answered with confidence, saying yes, and that this deed would be recognized as an achievement that preserved the family's standing. Liam asked him if his presence here was because of the drought. Bruno answered that it was true, and Liam told him that the king of Gemel had had rejected his offer of aid. Therefore, he was compelled to solve the problem, but Bruno would be the official front to provide the help and distribute the water. Naturally, Bruno welcomed the idea and agreed. Liam explained to him that he would use teleportation to reach the areas in need of water, prepare barrels, and distribute them to the people. Bruno answered that Liam could rely on him, but he pointed out that providing water to the whole kingdom would cost a great sum. Liam smiled and said, "Do not worry. The water will not cost me much, for I obtained it from the source directly. This matter will not impose taxes, for it is a natural disaster. All that will be paid is the wages of the workers, nothing more." And indeed the operation was carried out as planned. But Liam decided to take one more clever step. He summoned his second copy, changed its appearance completely, shaping it into his favorite singer. He then sent this illusion in the form of Amelia so that she would be the one carrying out the plan of disaster relief in IG. After that, Liam sat with Flora, his future bride, and spoke to her about his plan to build a line made of the element mithril so that the villagers could draw water from wells and light fire easily. Flora objected, saying that using such a rare material for daily life was waste and meaningless extravagance. But Liam disagreed, answering that if people had light, water, and fire available with ease, they would devote themselves to producing other things of greater value, and thus their whole lives would rise to a higher level. Flora's admiration for him grew, for in her homeland she had never seen nobles or even the High Duke care for the lives of ordinary people. After that, Liam received a call on the new magical device he had invented himself, which resembled a telephone. The caller was Guy, who informed him that a group claiming to be the Dragon Knights of the Kingdom of Questa had arrived with their leader and wished to meet him. Flora explained at once that she knew those knights well. They were people who rode dragons, beasts that were as obedient as dogs, yet as brave as lions. Liam went directly to the place where they waited. As soon as he approached, he noticed that the dragons had grown fearful and restless. Radon spoke, saying that to her, these creatures were nothing more than lizards, and that she had merely stirred their survival instinct when they felt her presence. Liam smiled, and replied that in the end, they were only like her children, still small. But Radon grew angry at his comparison, and said, "How dare you compare me and my children to those wretched lizards? Have you lost your sense, boy?" At that moment, Princess Sheila, Princess of Questa and the first head of the Ostream family, stepped forward. She went directly to the heart of the matter and challenged Liam to a duel. He was astonished and asked her the reason for this sudden challenge. She mocked his question and called it naive, then explained that the reason was simple and natural. They must fight in order for each side to understand the other better. She even declared that she would not acknowledge his worth unless he killed her at that very moment. Certainly Liam realized there was no escape, but he also saw that he must fight her, for he had not yet formed any alliance with the three neighboring states. Thus, the battle began between them. Sheila vanished in the blink of an eye. Liam summoned the absolute magic shield, yet she struck him from behind and shattered some of the barriers, then launched spheres of fire at him one after another. The barriers he had created kept the strikes from reaching him, but his situation was grave. He could hear her voice, but he could not see her because of her overwhelming speed. In a critical moment, he heard Radon's voice commanding him to vanish at once. He obeyed, and Sheila appeared, striking with a sword of fire. That sword was neither magical nor physical, and so the absolute shield could not block it. The princess laughed and said to him, "You have lost. Now it is time for the final blow." But Liam shouted, "Enough is enough." He used his magic and became able to determine her location with ease. Each time she attacked him, he knew her exact position, which left her astonished at his ability to match her speed. Liam then released the magical mist and said to her, "Your speed was beyond my perception. Therefore, instead of watching you with my eyes, I decided to use the mist to track your place. When I link your body to the space empty of mist, I can pinpoint your location exactly." His hand was already pointing to her spot. Sheila was amazed and said to him, "You are strong, and your power has caught my interest. For that reason, I may make you the High Court Mage of Questa afterwards." She asked permission to speak with him in private. Liam agreed, and took her to his palace by teleportation. There, he remembered how Gemel and Balta had once sent their princesses to marry him. He asked himself, what would the condition of alliance be this time with Sheila? At that moment, Sheila told him that the most important condition of her alliance was to sign a treaty that would forbid any military aggression. Liam grew suspicious, for such a condition was obvious in any alliance agreement. Yet she smiled and said, "I know you feel doubt, but we have a saying, never underestimate the dragon crown." He asked her about the truth of what had happened between their nation and Radon. She answered that their nation had nearly defeated Radon, so she herself was sent to form this alliance. The result she witnessed with her own eyes was that the dragons disobeyed their knights and obeyed Liam, for he bore the dragon crown. When he consulted Radon, she advised him that it was best to conclude the treaty with them, for no matter how strong his nation became, he should should not increase the number of his enemies. Thus the two agreed upon an alliance treaty. While shaking his hand, she asked him the name of his nation, but Liam had not yet chosen one. Then Radon appeared once more, and answered in a mighty voice, "The name of the nation is Liam Radon, a state ruled by a human granted absolute authority." Sheila trembled in awe at what she saw. Afterwards, Liam escorted her to her room. On the way, she was surprised that every house gave off light. He explained to her that the nation was built on ancient storage similar to a magical book, and from it the houses drew their energy. She looked inside one house and saw it illuminated though no one lived there, and also saw water flowing without a source. He explained that the houses were founded upon spells of light, water, and fire, and that the three were used in every home. They then went outside the city together, and from afar they watched the lights increase as the darkness of night deepened. The sight was enchanting for them both. After that, Princess Sheila asked Liam how he was able to use magical energy without producing magical crystals. She explained that these crystals were formed from the waste of magical spells used by people. Liam answered, "That is true." After he brought her back, he asked Radon the reason. She replied that ordinary humans produced magical crystals from spell waste because they did not use spells with 100% efficiency as he did. When Liam tried casting a spell with 0% strength, waste was produced in the form of radiant dust. He then used his magical sensing power to locate the crystals. Indeed, he went to the forest and found one. He asked Radon, "What can I do with it?" She answered, "Nothing. Yet these crystals are very precious, their price equal to that of a gem of the same size." Liam was astonished at the idea and thought to himself that he could use them as high income for his nation. On the next day, he met with his brother Bruno, who thanked him for what he had done in IG. For the situation there had greatly improved. Liam then showed him the magical crystal he had found in the earth and said, "I can provide a high production of these, for everyone in the village uses magic as routine, and therefore I will continue trading them with you." From Bruno's reaction, Liam knew that magical crystals were truly of great value. Bruno said to him, "That is correct. They are beautiful and rare. Each piece has its own unique pattern, and the price depends on its pattern. I am ready to make great effort to secure for you the greatest profit possible." Then he looked at the crystal and said, "This one seems recently formed, and for that reason it is highly desired among the nobles. Its price rises even more the longer the years pass over it." At that moment, a clever idea came to Liam. He decided to place the crystal inside the dust box, where 1 hour equaled a full year. When he left it inside for 500 hours, 500 years passed upon it. Its size became smaller, and its price became far greater. He then handed it to Bruno to place in an elegant case that increased its beauty, after which Liam returned it to the goods box. After that, Liam sent a delegation of elves to Questa, and with them his own double disguised as an elf. They carried the magical crystal as a gift, and as proof of the sincerity of their nation. When the king saw it, he was greatly astonished, for he had never seen such a thing before. He then called for the appraiser, who estimated its age at 500 years, and all were amazed at the value of that rare piece. This was the plan Liam had devised to win the alliance of neighboring states, a result of Scarlet's suggestion combined with Radon's thought. Bruno praised his brother and admired his wisdom. Later, the elven delegation returned and informed Liam that his plan had succeeded brilliantly. They even sent back precious gifts, and Princess Sheila herself declared that she would come in person to discuss the future of relations between the two nations. At this, Liam felt some relief at last. As time passed, Liam's nation began to develop further through its interaction with the outside world and with merchants. Thanks to its distinguished location, it became a main commercial center between the states. Yet Liam noticed two people watching him, but he chose to ignore the matter for the time being. He then went to Guy and the workers who were breaking the rocks. He ordered them to crush the stone into small pieces, for he wanted to build a paved road as an attempt to establish a magical city. After the workers dug the trench, they placed the small stones inside. Liam summoned Salamander and ordered him to breathe fire upon them evenly until they fused and became solid. Thus, the road was completed. This method soon spread throughout the streets of the city until its roads were smooth and level. But Liam noticed an important flaw. If rain were to fall, the water would gather in the middle of the road. He summoned Salamander once more and ordered him to breathe fire down to 10 centimeters deep, while he summoned the spirits of clouds to raise the middle of the road slightly. In this way, it became higher than the sides so that the water would flow away. He applied the same process throughout the entire nation. After that, we see Liam in the forest, making a bed from a single rope. He tries to sleep on it but falls. Radon says to him, "Are you trying to train?" He answers that he realized when his body is filled with energy, it is given physical strength or weight, so he thought of continuing his training even while asleep. He tries again and falls, then he distributes his magical forces and corrects his position. This time it is easier and he manages to balance himself on the rope. Here, Liam feels subtle differences in magic that he had never sensed before. Radon explains to him that magical energy is the latent power each person possesses, and it differs according to the land they live upon, what they eat, and what they drink, and these things show subtle variations in the wavelength of their strength. At that moment, Liam understands her words and activates magical sensing. He then discovers all the spies sent by the three nations. He knows that their surveillance of him means their hostility is stronger. Afterwards, he goes to Scarlet and asks her about the military power of those states. She answers that Gemel and Balta can each provide 20,000 soldiers, while Questa can provide 50,000. This is the number each side can send if they fight alone, but if they unite against him, Balta and Gemel will double their numbers, while Questa will fight with full strength as it is, and the total will be 130,000 soldiers. Liam thinks the confrontation will be difficult, for they have only about 10,000 people if the civilians are counted. Radon tells him that if each of the 10,000 possessed a magical combat shield, they could easily defeat the enemies. But for Liam, this is very difficult now, for he needs a huge amount of mithril, and it is not available. He sits and thinks wisely of how to avoid fighting them. He then begins to think of the three neighboring states of his nation, and he adds that there may be another state beyond them. He would not be surprised if it too had sent its agents. For that reason, he strengthens his magical sensing even more deeply and feels great magical powers coming from the heart of the land. He teleports there and orders Guillaume to dig straight into the earth. There they find a massive quantity of mithril, enough to craft magical combat shields for everyone in the village, and if the spirits possess them, their strength would increase as well. This would compensate for the difference in military numbers. After that, he ascends and tells Scarlet that she must spread the news that their nation possesses a vein of mithril. It will allow them to equip all their soldiers with armor, and more than their need besides. In this way, the vein becomes a clear deterrent for their nation. Afterwards, Liam halts the road works and begins mining mithril, bringing out countless ingots, enough to make thousands of shields. He holds the ingots in his hand and plays with them, remembering the past days when he obtained only their scraps. Then he says to Reina, "Sadly, we must stop the road work until we extract all the mithril we need." But then an idea comes to him. Instead of making the road an ordinary road, he will place mithril first and cover it with stone. And indeed, Liam carried out the experiment. He ordered Guillaume to set the road first with mithril, then cover it with stone. He also asked Reina to stand upon it. At that moment, she felt a tremendous magical energy, as if all the spells were entering directly into her thoughts, for mithril was the element from which they drew their magical power. She was then able to cast her ice spell with ease and success. Liam told her afterwards that he had used magic to transform the thin mithril in the road into an ancient storage device, and by placing it beneath the city roads, anyone would be able to learn those spells easily. Reina remained deeply astonished at his brilliant idea, but our hero explained to her that this meant they were obliged to repave all the roads once again. After the roads were repaved, everyone stood and began casting spells at Liam, while he defended against every spell of fire, ice, and wind spheres with his shields. In this way, being in this city became like holding a magical book that every person carried at all times. Then Liam told Reina that this was not all. He asked her to stand on the road and try the telephone spell, though she had never used it before, a spell that allowed communication with anyone inside the city. Reina tried it with her friend Natasha, and the spell worked indeed. She rejoiced greatly, and said to Liam that he had built a magical city. At this moment, our hero transformed from a poor, ordinary man into a king who possessed a magical city unlike any other in the world. And here comes the advice, dear viewer. No matter how small you see yourself, one day you will be able to become something great. All you need in your life is simply to believe in yourself, nothing more. And here, our strong recap ends, so do not forget to like and subscribe. Farewell.